Today I'm interviewing Moshe Weizman. Now, he has a very interesting story. When he was 16 years old, he discovered the book The Multi-Orgasmic Man by Montauk Chia. Ever since then, he was interested in discovering the mysteries of sexual energy to maximize the gift that it is in our human experience. Moshe has a PhD in physics and is certified in sexological bodywork. He runs an online coaching business called Multi-O Coaching, in which he helps men learn to last longer, have stronger orgasms, and have multiple orgasms. So, Moshe, why don't you tell us, me and the audience, a little bit more about yourself, what you do, and why you do it?
I've been struggling for many years with not being able to last long in bed and feeling drained after sex. And working with the Taoist Sexual Techniques helped me overcome those challenges. And even to the degree that I decided those are such powerful and beautiful techniques that other men should benefit from them. In 2016, I started then the sexological bodyworking education. And since then, worked with many men on how they can use the same techniques that worked for me to improve their sex life and experience a similar transformation to what I've experienced over the years.
For those of us in the audience who are new to what Taoist sexual energy practices are, what do you have, how would you describe it to someone who's new to it, who hasn't heard it before? And I think kind of answering, why do people do it? Like, what's the draw to it? Why would I be interested in that? And how would that add value to my life at all?
The Taoists were people who were interested in researching different aspects of our existence in order to have more energy, become more balanced, become more energized. And one of the practices they were working with was developing sexual techniques. I mean, they have real sexual manual that describe step by step what men could do to have beautiful, fulfilling, energizing sexual experiences. Mostly they work with elements such as breathing, such as using the pelvic floor muscles, clearing the mind, having an intention, learning to draw the sexual energy. Those are all powerful techniques that we can use today to enrich our sex life.
Okay, so let's say, I'm in a healthy relationship right now. But for some reason, I guess maybe a lot of the men you work with are struggling with parts of their sex life that they want to improve, right? What are some of the common problems that men are facing? And how does this Taoist sexual energy practice, what are some of the before and afters, I suppose, that can happen for people? Before you start off, maybe you've got problems with premature ejaculation or lack of sensitivity or enjoyment during sex. And I'm wondering, what are some of the results of the practice, that people would like to discover?
A lot of men out there indeed struggle with premature ejaculation. So if we look at the numbers, there's about 30% of worldwide people who have issues around that. And what happened when people start to practice those techniques of feeling the energy, starting to learn to move the energy, to become more sensitive of their sexual energy. First of all, they feel more sensation, more pleasure, and they usually make small steps, being able to last a little longer, which surprised them because sometimes it's really just about those few more minutes of letting that energy move into the body that can create a completely different experience. And I mean, a lot of the issues that men struggle with is feeling their heart and connecting between that sexual energy and their feeling of an open heart, a heart that embrace their partner, embrace themselves. And that experience of working with the energy like that, often manages to touch that, and that could be a wonderful, beautiful experience.
I see a relationship there between Taoist sexual energy and some of the experiences I have doing Qigong. There's a big component of, because normally even when you exercise, like in the Western world, whether you're exercising or you're moving or you're going through your daily life or you're having sex, I think there's a common trend of not being connected to your heart energy or to your body's inner sensation. We generally want to kind of avoid those sensations. And I think that can lead to a lot of maybe the emptiness or the lack of, enjoying life that we could have. So I'm wondering, is there does Taoist sexual energy invite a different paradigm of looking at sex than how most people see sex, do you think? Or do you think that there's a way men see sex in general that Taoist sexual energy helps them kind of see it in a different way? Would you say that?
Yeah, that's a very interesting point about how Taoist sexual alchemy challenge the way people look in general about sex. Because once you start working with the sexual energy and moving it and being more attuned to what is happening in the body during the sex, it becomes less about reaching somewhere. It's even the orgasm become just part of that journey of, once you learn to implode into the body, then the energy just flushes through your body and starts to activate different parts, and you kind of feel, okay, this is just the beginning. I want more of that. And often that type of orgasm brings you to want to have more of those orgasms. So people talk from multiple orgasm, multiple full body orgasms.
So why would a man want to have this skill set?
One of the biggest challenge that men feel, especially when they age, is that they start losing energy when they ejaculate. So there's a kind of a trap there in that way of how to really enjoy when I know that at the end, when I ejaculate, I'm going to lose energy. And we don't really have good solutions for that in what we get to see out there. So I think the Taoist sexual alchemy gives a very unique and beautiful solution for that by saying you can be in charge of your energy also when you ejaculate, also when you orgasm. You can learn to implode and bring that energy into the body. And ejaculation is not always the same. So if we can learn to even bring some of that energy into the body, we can still have ejaculation, but the sensation in the body would be different, and we would not experience that feeling of being drained.
That all sounds very, very exciting to me. And I guess I've got some questions coming up, because I'm thinking some people may be hearing this for the first time, or maybe they're being reminded of it and they know it's something that they want to get to. But maybe they're in a situation where, I'm thinking a few different situations where men could be. Maybe they're single, and maybe they're dating, maybe they're not, but they would like to start practicing some of these techniques on their own. Is that possible? Is there ways that a single man can start to wake up his own heart and connect to his sexual energy during masturbation? Another question that kind of goes with this, I'm just going to frame them all together here, is men who are in relationships with a partner who they think might not be open to them starting to do these practices. Is there advice around that conversation? Or maybe she is open, but he's not sure yet, and he's not, how does he bring it up to her? How does he start to invite that to the bedroom? What does that conversation look like normally? And then I guess, what advice do you have for people who are already in sort of relationships, or maybe they're already into conscious dating, they're into high-level relationships, they're already interested in maybe tantric stuff or shamanic sexual practices, but they maybe aren't seeing the results they want. I'm not quite sure how to frame the last part, but you kind of get the vein I'm pointing in. So those are kind of the three categories I see. But how do you speak to each of those groups, each of those men?
I usually say that the best place to start is by practicing solo, those techniques. So independent, if you are in a relationship, if you are single and dating, if it's a long-term relationship or if it's relatively new, it's a lot of things to integrate. Usually my courses go for 10 weeks, and within those 10 weeks, men start to feel the energy. They start to be able to control that, maybe make some first experiences with imploding into the body. But it's a lot of information, and doing that with a partner in the partner sex is way more complicated. I mean, imagine all the things that are happening, all the dynamics, all that, including you trying to monitor what is happening inside you. So I usually say it's better to practice that alone. And once you start to get a feeling for those things, you can slowly integrate them in the relationship. And to your question, how to do that, it depends. If your partner is open for that, definitely share and talk about what you're doing, what kind of things interest you or you're experimenting with. If your partner is less open, that is also not a problem. A lot of those techniques are things that you can work within yourself and have real effect, and can help you last longer, feel more pleasure, be able to enjoy more the orgasm. So there are different ways to go there.
So Moshe, in your coaching, because you have men going through your program right now, what are some of the general sort of like before and afters looking like? So like, I assume when you start off, you're probably pretty nervous and uncomfortable. You don't really know if you're going to get the result or not. You're not sure what it's going to feel like or what to expect. Then I assume there's people get to the end and they've grown a lot and they've had results. And they're starting to see what's possible. Maybe they've had some amazing results with their control. They're lasting longer. Maybe they're feeling more pleasure. Maybe they're having some body orgasms. Like, what is the typical journey someone should kind of imagine, like when they're working, specifically when they're working with you? Because I think, you're the expert we've brought in to talk to today. men watching this who may be interested in working with you, like what should they be visualizing along that journey to get the results here?
Some of the people who work with me after 5 sessions can experience mind-blowing full body orgasms. I mean, I had this client who was referred by a friend, and after 5 sessions, he could do that. I mean, I accidentally met his partner, and she just looked at me and said, "Moshe, what have you done with my partner?" And there are people who after that feel, yeah, I sense some more sensation. I feel there is that energy moving. I have a little taste of how that could look like, but I still have work to do. So it depends. I think that everybody that is willing to work with that experience benefits, and it's a beautiful path that tackles problems in a way that work from the energy that is inside our body from a place that is long lasting. So once you reach some results, you can count that this is something that's going to stay with you.
All right. So briefly describe, like, let's say you took, because like, you know what, like, let's say you took describe someone at the pinnacle of embodying Taoist sexual energy practice, someone who's really taken it to the very end. What are they experiencing during their sexual practices?
The Taoist sexual techniques are very powerful. And once people really start working with that and feel the energy and be able to move that in the body, there is just this amazing transformation and feeling of pleasure, feeling of being connected with so much energy. It's almost mind-blowing what we have hidden within our bodies. I think the amazing thing about that once you experience that, you can't really stay the same person you were, because there's something about experiencing a lot of pleasure that just change you. I mean, it's almost impossible to stay with that, I would say, fragmented, somehow separated picture of ourselves once we start experiencing what is possible within our body and experiencing such high level of sexual pleasure.
All right, we're getting closer to the end here. I just wanted to touch upon a few notes to the audience who are watching this, who are you're probably new to Qigong, and you're probably new to Taoist sexual energy practices, because we're really just discovering these ancient practices in the West now. And the quality of our lives is dependent upon the quality of our energy, right? Because your energy is your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, how much physical energy you actually have to do things. And that comes back to, your nutrition, your information diet, the way you exercise and move, how aligned you feel with your values every single day, the quality of your environment. All these things come into play for living a high quality life. And for me, these Taoist sexual energy practices, I think, open up to a Western audience a different way of looking at sex and relating to sex that I think is far healthier than we do in the West. In the West right now, we have a lot of, pornography, and it's marketed to us as sexually. A lot of men are confused about relationships right now and what sex is supposed to be about, how we're supposed to relate to our bodies. And I just think that these sort of there's a lot less shame in Taoist sexual energy, I think, around sex. It's more about how do you cultivate it to be like, how do you cultivate your sexual energy, your relationship with your sexuality in your partner to, maximize the expression of your love and your enjoyment of life. In the West right now, we don't have a lot of very strong narrative around using sexual energy. A lot of men are actually kind of getting the opposite. They're getting told that their sexual energy leads to misconduct, right? It's bad, it's evil. And a lot of guys are having to learn, despite these narratives, how to approach women, how to talk to them, how to start dating, how to be a quality man, how to be a quality guy. So if you have any thoughts on that, you can respond. Other than that, I'm wondering, where can people find you? And how do they get in contact with you and these things?
The Taoist tradition is unique in that sense that it really doesn't have any taboos around sex. And it offers us a unique set of tools that we can use to enhance the quality of our sex life. I think we can benefit a lot by testing those techniques. I mean, I've also learned the sexological body working method that approaches our sexuality from a place which is more experimental, testing different things, and also several things related to that tradition don't completely sit well with me. And I know that some of the men I've worked said, okay, this is interesting, but that part doesn't work so good. So it's not about taking everything one-to-one and just implementing it into our sex life. It's about allowing that wisdom of 4,000 years to flow into and enrich our lives. You can find some more details about my work at multiorgasmcoaching.com. And I have a quiz that I offer for men to get to know how they personally work with their sexual energy. I have a free webinar that give people some idea about how they can start applying those tools to improve their sex life. And I offer free consultation calls for people who are interested in this type of work.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Moshe, for coming on today to talk about this. I think that Taoist sexual energy practices and Qigong offer so much to the modern world. And I think I'm very excited for those who take this next step to start to learn this practice. I think that you're gonna have a really great time getting to know Moshe. So definitely take up that offer. Go check out his website, have a conversation with Moshe. Just start to use him as a resource to get to know more about this ancient practice, because it has so much to offer you in your life that you really don't want to miss out on that.